Welcome to Old Frame. Let's get into today's story. In 1995, a tourist bought Buckingham Palace. Not a souvenir, not a tour, the actual palace. He paid cash. The Queen never knew. David Hampton was not a master criminal. He was an Italian immigrant who moved to London with nothing but a cheap suitcase and a lot of confidence. He had no money, no connections, no job, and no plan, except one. He had one talent that mattered more than money. He knew how to dress, how to talk, and how to make people trust him. He studied the royal family for months. He watched documentaries about the Queen. He read tabloids about Princess Diana. He memorized the names of the Queen's private secretaries. He learned which guards worked which gates, which entrances were used for official events, and which doors were always locked. He practiced his British accent in front of a mirror for hours every day. Not too posh, he decided. That would be suspicious. Just confident, just bored, just like someone who belonged in Buckingham Palace. He practiced his walk, his handshake, his smile. He was preparing for the most important role of his life, a role that did not exist. By 1995, Hampton had perfected his persona. He called himself David Hampton, personal secretary to the royal family. He printed business cards with a gold crest. He rented a black Mercedes and hired a driver in a uniform. He bought expensive suits and silk ties from the best shops in London. He bought a watch that looked like it cost £10,000. He bought shoes that shone under the hotel lights. He looked the part. He sounded the part. He even smelled the part. Expensive cologne, the kind royalty might wear. He was ready. The only thing missing was a royal crisis. So he decided to create one. He spread a rumor among hotel staff that the royal family was short on cash. He mentioned it casually in bars where wealthy tourists gathered. "Tough times at the palace," he would say, shaking his head with fake sympathy. "The Queen is cutting costs everywhere." He let the rumor float. He did nothing to stop it. Within weeks, the story had grown. People were whispering that Buckingham Palace might be sold. Some said it was because of the economy. Others blamed the cost of maintaining the royal family. A few even claimed the Queen wanted to move to a smaller house. No one knew where the rumor started, but Hampton knew. He had started it, and he was ready to take advantage. He knew exactly who to target. Tourists. Rich tourists. Tourists who wanted to feel special. Tourists who would believe anything if it came from a man in a nice suit. He spent days watching crowds near the palace, studying their behavior, picking his moment. August 1995. The Queen was on her summer holiday at Balmoral in Scotland. Buckingham Palace was almost empty. Just a few guards, a couple of maintenance staff, and the tourists. The tourists were everywhere. They crowded the gates. They took photos of the royal balcony. They bought souvenirs from street vendors. They laughed and pointed and imagined what it would be like to live inside. A middle-aged couple from South Korea stood near the palace gates. They had saved for years for this trip. They had told their children they were going to see the Queen. They had never imagined they might own the palace. They were perfect targets, rich enough to afford the scam, naive enough to believe it, eager enough to not ask questions. David Hampton approached them. He was wearing a perfectly tailored suit, a silk tie, expensive shoes. He walked slowly, confidently. He did not rush. He looked like he belonged there. He looked like he had just stepped out of a meeting with the Queen. "Good afternoon," he said, his voice calm and steady. "My name is David Hampton. I am the private secretary to the royal family. I have a confidential matter to discuss." The couple looked at him, then at the palace, then back at him. They did not ask for ID. They did not ask for proof. They just listened. Hampton continued, "The royal family is facing a temporary cash flow problem. Her Majesty has authorized me to sell Buckingham Palace to a private buyer. Discreetly. The price is £100,000, cash, today." The couple stared at him. They did not laugh. They did not walk away. They leaned closer. Hampton added, "If you are interested, we must act quickly. There are other buyers. I have 3 other parties waiting for my call." The couple looked at each other, then at the palace, then back at Hampton. Their eyes were wide. Their hands were shaking. They were not laughing. They were leaning closer. They followed him to a private room in a nearby hotel. The room was elegant, with heavy curtains and soft lighting. A mahogany table, a vase of fresh flowers. It looked like the kind of place where real deals were made. It looked expensive. It looked official. It looked like the perfect place to buy a palace. Hampton laid out the documents on the table. A deed of sale, a letter from the Queen, a confidentiality agreement. The documents looked official. The gold crest looked real. The paper was thick and heavy, the kind used for government business. The signatures looked authentic. The language was formal and impressive. The couple did not ask for proof. They did not call a lawyer. They did not even ask to see the inside of the palace. They just nodded and nodded and nodded. Then they handed over £100,000 in cash, stacks of bills, inside a leather briefcase. The money was real. The briefcase was real. The fantasy was real. Hampton thanked them. He said the paperwork would be finalized in 3 days. He asked them to keep the sale a secret until then. "The Queen values discretion," he explained. They promised to say nothing. They crossed their hearts. They would not even tell their children until the deal was done. He shook their hands firmly and left. He walked out of the hotel, got into his black Mercedes, and told the driver to go to Harrods. He bought champagne. He bought new shoes. He bought a watch for himself and a scarf for his driver. He was celebrating. He was already planning his next sale. The couple went back to their hotel room. They locked the briefcase in the safe. They called their children in Seoul. "We bought Buckingham Palace," they said. Their children did not believe them. "You are joking," they said. "No," the mother replied. "We are not joking. We own a palace. We met the Queen's secretary." The children thought their parents had lost their minds. The parents did not care. They believed. That was enough. 3 days later, the couple received a phone call. It was not David Hampton. It was the London police. "Do you know a man named David Hampton?" the officer asked. "Yes," the woman said. "He sold us Buckingham Palace." A long pause. "Ma'am, he does not work for the royal family." The couple was confused, then angry, then mortified. They had been scammed. They had lost £100,000. They had told their children they owned a palace. They had already started planning the move. Their daughter had already called a moving company. But here is the strangest part of the story. David Hampton was not satisfied. He had £100,000 in cash. He could have disappeared. He could have flown to Brazil. He could have started a new life. Instead, he went back to work. He was addicted to the game. He loved the thrill. 3 days after selling the palace, he approached a group of American tourists near the Tower of London. The same confident smile, the same perfect suit, the same calm, bored voice. He looked like he had just stepped out of a royal reception. "Good afternoon," he said. "My name is David Hampton. I am the private secretary to the royal family. The Queen is liquidating some underperforming assets." The Americans looked at him, then at the tower, then back at him. "The Tower of London," Hampton continued, "is available for immediate purchase. The price is £75,000, cash, today." A businessman from Texas leaned closer. He was loud. He was confident. He was used to getting what he wanted. "How much?" he asked. "75,000, Hampton said. "Cash, today." The businessman did not hesitate. 75, he said. "Negotiable," Hampton replied, "for the right buyer." The businessman pulled out his wallet. He was not going to let this deal slip away. He had always wanted to own a piece of history. They went to a coffee shop near the tower. The businessman ordered a black coffee. Hampton ordered nothing. He just talked. He showed the same fake documents, the deed, the letter from the Queen, the confidentiality agreement. The documents looked real. The crest looked official. The businessman asked to see the inside of the tower. Hampton said it was impossible. The property was still under royal protection. Only after the sale, he explained. The businessman nodded. He did not ask for a lawyer. He did not call the tourist office. He handed over £75,000 in cash, stacks of bills, inside a leather briefcase. Hampton thanked him, shook his hand, and walked out. He told his driver to head to the airport. He had £175,000. He could have left. He could have won. But he did not go to the airport. He went to Harrods. Again. The businessman from Texas was not as patient as the Korean couple. He did not wait a week. He did not wait 3 days. He waited 1 day. He called the number on the fake letterhead. It was disconnected. He called the tourist information line for the Tower of London. They had never heard of David Hampton. He called the police. The police already had a file open. The Korean couple had reported their loss. Now they had a second victim, a description of the same man, the same suit, the same Mercedes. The police knew exactly who they were looking for. Hampton was still in London. He was staying at a 5-star hotel. He was buying champagne and new shoes. He had no idea that the police were already outside. On August 17, 1995, he was arrested in the lobby of his hotel. He was not running. He was not hiding. He was ordering room service. Eggs Benedict, fresh orange juice, a pot of English breakfast tea. The police searched his briefcase. They found the fake documents, the business cards, the blank deed forms, and a notebook, a small black notebook filled with names and phone numbers. His next victims, dozens of them. He had been planning to sell the tower a 3rd time. He had already contacted another group of tourists. They were scheduled to meet him the next day at a different hotel. He had even picked a restaurant. He was already planning what to wear. The trial was brief. The evidence was overwhelming. The victims testified. The Korean woman cried on the stand. The hotel staff identified Hampton. The fake documents were presented to the jury. The jury saw the gold crest. They saw the letter from the Queen. They saw the blank deed forms. Hampton did not deny the crimes. He could not. But he did something unexpected. He apologized. Not to the court, to the victims. He stood up and turned to the Korean couple. "I am sorry," he said. "I never meant to hurt anyone. I just got carried away." The Korean woman looked at him. She did not speak. She just stared. The businessman from Texas was not in the courtroom. He had already flown home. He never got his money back. He lost his business. He lost his wife. He lost everything. The judge was not impressed. He sentenced Hampton to 18 months in prison. But before he did, he said something that made the whole courtroom gasp. "You are," the judge said, "the most polite con artist I have ever seen." The courtroom laughed. The journalists scribbled notes. Hampton did not laugh. He just nodded, as if accepting a compliment. He seemed proud. 18 months is not a long time. Hampton served his sentence. He was released. He promised to change. He promised to go straight. He promised to never con anyone again. He did not. Within months of leaving prison, he was running scams again. Smaller ones: credit card fraud, fake investment schemes, fake charity collections. Nothing as grand as the palace or the tower. But the magic was gone. He had been caught. His face had been in the newspapers. His name was known. The police picked him up again. Another short sentence, another release, another scam. David Hampton spent the last 15 years of his life cycling through prisons. Small-time fraud, small-time money, a shadow of the man who once sold Buckingham Palace. He died in 2015. He was 49 years old. He died poor. He died forgotten. He died alone. The British newspapers wrote a short obituary. Most people did not read it. But the story of the palace sale never died. It became a legend, a cautionary tale, a joke that people told at parties. Here's the question that no one has answered. Why did the victims not check? Why did they hand over life-changing amounts of money without a single phone call? Without a single question? Why did they trust a stranger in a suit more than their own common sense? The answer is not about stupidity. It is about psychology. Hampton did not sell them a building. He sold them a fantasy of being someone special, someone important, someone who could tell their grandchildren, "I bought Buckingham Palace." That fantasy was worth more than £100,000. At least, it was to them. And David Hampton knew that. He knew that people want to believe. He knew that a good story is more powerful than the truth. He knew that a man in a nice suit with a confident smile can sell anything, even a palace, even a tower, even a dream. The difference between being fooled and being wise is not intelligence. It is the ability to pause, to doubt, to ask one simple question: why me? The Korean couple did not ask that question. The businessman from Texas did not ask it. They wanted to believe. They needed to believe. And David Hampton was counting on that. He was not a genius. He was just very good at spotting one thing: greed. Not greed for money, greed for status, greed for the story you can tell at parties. The victims were not stupid. They were hopeful. They wanted to be part of something bigger. They wanted to touch royalty. And Hampton gave them something to believe in. For a few hours, they really did own Buckingham Palace. The feeling was worth the price. At least, that is what they told themselves later. What do you believe? Would you have paused? Or would you have reached for your wallet? This is Old Frame. Thank you for watching. If you want more stories like this, hit subscribe.